Welcome back to the podcast. It's Monday, the 27th of January, 2026. I'm starting to get back in the groove of following a calendar. Here is today's t-shirt, one of them for Tuesday, t-shirt Tuesday. We'll have multiples. I'll switch off with segments just to keep it exciting. That doesn't really count as editing because you guys know if you saw my last interview with attorney John Case, Tina Peters' attorney, I definitely check that out. It's informative, and at the very end, it's very positive. I just fingers are crossed that this woman doesn't, you know, languish in prison for doing the right thing. And I know there's more people than just Tina in that situation. Anyway, so I didn't edit that because it was funny because I do a lot of interviews. I go live, what's called live to tape. And it takes people getting used to because depending on where or how you get your information or how information is packaged, there is that thing where uh, people that you're interviewing, especially government people in particular, they'll always say, "Oh, wait, let me redo that." Or, "Oh, can you take that out?" And my answer is no, because we go live to tape. So come ready to interact as guest, as all mine do. And you can tell if they're not. And we start taping and then we just let it roll. That's why there's been things on these recordings like coffee spills or me taking water. Someone said, "Can't you edit out your drinking water?" See, we are so used to prepackaged short little blips of prepackaged news that get blown out like, here's what you're supposed to think today. Here's what you're supposed to say today. And anything like that. That do you remember? And I forget who it was. Maybe it was Obama. Maybe it was Trump. Maybe they both did it. I know Marco Rubio did it once. They were speaking from the podium on stage, and it was a big deal. I think they've all done it at one point or another. But I remember the first time it happened, everybody was just shocked, and he's so much like us. It's so normal. Like it might have been Marco, and he took a drink during his speech because that's how live things work. And again, this podcast is set up. It's one step further than what I love doing on radio, and that is being off the cuff, unscripted, no teleprompter, live calls. This is the next level of that, where I'm not going to go back and, you know, give myself a tan. That's never going to happen. My wife thinks that's hysterical because we used to go to the beach all the time. You know, back before kids when we had time and money, we'd go to the beach and oh my gosh. And now it's like, who wants to even go out in the sun at this point? You know what I mean? I know the sun is good. I'm talking about laying out in the sun. Like, remember, I don't know if you used to do that when you were younger. You'd go to the beach and you would just lay out and drink or whatever for hours. And then you know, my wife and I would get so tan that we would definitely be stopped by ICE. I mean, today we would. We never got stopped. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know where that was going. Oh yeah, editing. Well, we don't do it. We don't do it. So that's why you get the same effect you'd have if we were having lunch together or having a cup of coffee, or if you and I were on a Zoom call. You get the same thing, pretty much. And I'm proud of that I don't have to prepackage it and overproduce it. And I've explained this before. The truth to me is the most important thing. There's a lot of slick productions out there. I mean, slick. I mean, as a former producer and a former morning show host for many, many years, I look at some of these productions and oh my gosh, this is like just network level major production stuff. It's awesome. And then you listen to some of them and it's like, but the guy's a liar, or they're 2 weeks behind what's really happening, or they're not commenting on what people are interested in. So it's one of those things. And again, I always feel I have to do this little spiel, even if I only get one new listener. I always feel I have to do the spiel. So when you tune in and you see me take a drink of water or make a mistake and say, oh, excuse me, let me fix that, you know why I didn't go back and edit it. Number one, I don't have the staff, takes too much time. And the more production you put on the front end of something, the harder it is to introduce new content to it. See, I can change it. If something changes right now, let's say I do content, which I'm about to do, and it's 20 after 12 on a, did I say Monday? It's Tuesday. T-shirt Tuesday. No, I think I said T-shirt Tuesday. Okay. Can you fire the script writer, please? There isn't one? All right, never mind. Um, yeah, T-shirt Tuesday, the 27th of January. So let's say I do this thing and something regarding the topic changes like within an hour. Let's say I'm going to get lunch. I come back from lunch and I see something that big parts of what I just said were incorrect. I can just go right back into the studio and say, oh, that thing we just did, yeah, it's not correct. But if you have hours and hours and hours of production, and this is not always true, but if you're obsessed with how something looks more than how accurate it is, that's the wrong track to be on. It's not always true though. There's a lot of slick, professional looking shows from cable to podcast, and it's amazing. The content they deliver, especially in the entertainment realm, home improvement. I mean, I'm big into the home improvement stuff. I like when people take like old tugboats and turn them into like luxurious cruisers. Yeah. All right. Wow, that was way too long. But anyway, let's get right into it. There is a woman who was on TikTok, and she did something that really upset me on different levels. And before I share this with you, I'm going to share the whole thing with you, and then we can discuss some of it. It's going viral now, okay? The problem with this thing, and it is going viral, here's my thought before I get into it. Well, no, I'll get into it, and then we'll let the emotions roam freely. But she works at Virginia Commonwealth University Medical Center. It's one of the leading academic medical centers in the country and stands alone as the only academic medical center in Central Virginia. It figures it's in Virginia because Virginia is it is sliding right off. It's sliding right off the earth, man. I'm not just talking about the new governor, but look where they're seated. Look where they sit on the map. They're a stone's throw away from one of the most corrupt areas on the globe, Washington, D.C. The medical center includes an 820-bed hospital, outpatient clinic, 600-physician faculty group practice in the Virginia Commonwealth University Health Science Schools of Health Professions, Dentistry, Medicine, Nursing, and Pharmacy. It's a level 1 trauma center, state-of-the-art care, 200 specialty areas. Now that you have a little background, I want you to listen to this student. And what she says and what she allegedly represents. And what's sad about it is this behavior will be compared to normal protest, and that's unfair to normal protesters. It's unfair to people who go online and do not do what she's doing. Just like it's unfair to people who show up to protest, and then there's another group that'll show up and protest, and they'll break stuff and burn stuff and, like go attack the hotel that the agents were staying in, break windows and everything, destroy property. And that's wrong. But what happens is it's all going to be lumped into one. So someone like myself, who's very critical of the current ICE strategy regarding American citizens and American cities, I get lumped in, and this is why people are afraid. This is why everybody has the Stand with ICE banner. And if you criticize ICE, then everybody flips the switch and goes off the deep end and says, you hate cops, you hate ICE. Don't you know they have families too? Yeah, I know. I know all that. But I also know that you can't just show up and vandalize a hotel and break windows and spray paint stuff. That's not protesting. That's breaking the law. There we go. Now, this woman is just speaking. You know I'm a big fan of free speech, but she has crossed over the line of free speech. And I'm about to show you exactly how she does it. And hopefully we still have audio. I think we do. All right, so let's go back to, hold on a minute. Let's go back to the free speech thing here. Again, this is not free speech. This is something else. And
I thought of something good. I think it's something weird spot. Sabotage tactic, or at least scare tactic. All the medical providers, grab some syringes with needles on the end. Have them full of saline or succinylcholine, whatever.
Okay, right there. I think that might be a felony. I'm not sure in Virginia, because this is not a drunk college kid, which still would have broken the law at some level. This is a woman that works for a hospital. All right. Right off the bat, I think she should be terminated, because I'm sure that violated the handbook. Okay. Not that I'm going to go around and tell people when you should fire people and when you shouldn't fire people. But this woman has crossed the line here, and she's just getting started. So I'm playing this to make it clear to everyone. This is not protest. This is lethal threat of physical harm, threat of property damage. There are so many threats in here. And what makes it a bigger threat is because she works at a place where she has the means and the opportunity to do it. And this is the type of person that should lose their job, because would you want this person being your nurse or whoever she is?
I thought of something good. I think it's something weird spot. Sabotage tactic, or at least scare tactic. All the medical providers, grab some syringes with needles on the end. Have them full of saline or succinylcholine, whatever. That will probably be a deterrent. Be safe. Okay, for today's resistance tip, I vote, anybody got any poison ivy, poison oak in their yard? Get some of that up with gloves, obviously. Get it in some water, like a gallon of water. Get the poison ivy oak water, and I'm gonna put it into a water gun. Aim for faces, hands.
So, what is going on now is she is giving you the recipe for germ warfare. And then she talks to fellow medical people. Apparently she's a nurse, or at least she's in scrubs, and she's around the medical community. Now, they've already issued a statement, which I'm going to read to you. But this just escalates and escalates and escalates. And like I said, I don't like this getting flipped around and then if I or you happen to be critical of excessive force or the overreach of federal agents in cities, especially with Americans, we get lumped into this same mentality. But that's what's happening. I see it happening among MAGA. I call them the MAGA woke or the moke. Okay, don't get mad at me because I'm MAGA. 10 years. And uh, who wouldn't be MAGA? The real MAGA. But somebody has infiltrated MAGA and indoctrinated the woke MAGA or the mokes to flip the script and become angry leftist when it comes to guns and when it comes to speech. But this is one of those rare occasions where this is not free speech. This is beyond violent incitement. This is the recipe for others like her with the means and opportunity that she has to inflict harm, injury, death, and damage to fellow Americans. That's not protest.
Are the single ladies where these ICE guys are going have a chance to do something, you know, not without risk, but could help the cause for sure? Get on Tinder, get on Hinge, find these guys. They're around. They're an ICE agent, bring some X-Lax and put it in their drinks. Get them sick. You know, nobody's gonna die. Just enough to incapacitate them, get them off the street for the next day. Highly, easily deniable.
So she's basically saying, here's how you can harm federal agents, or anybody for that matter, and how you can't get caught. You see, this is like when you go online and you instruct people how to make bombs to hurt other people. And right behind you is all the stuff to make the bomb. That's not free speech. So I just get so frustrated because I see this among the MAGA woke and the mokes. Like the people are going, where I don't want to bring guns into it because we're going to do another segment. Besides, I want to show off another t-shirt, especially to new subscribers, because we only wear t-shirts on Tuesday. I want to make it clear that I am wearing pants. This is not CNN or ABC. We have our clothes on here. So this is just this outrage. This is an outrage. And people will be programmed to say, you know, oh, you agree with this girl? You're just as bad as this girl. No, I'm not. And it breaks my heart that so many adults have been programmed. You have to admit it. We all can be programmed. We all can be persuaded or brainwashed or influenced. What do you think marketing is? What do you think advertising is? And this is just a more intense part of it that we're experiencing now all over the media, in particular digital media, with algorithms and bots and people weighing in. And all of a sudden, in the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days, we have more Republicans wanting to get rid of free speech, more Republicans wanting to get rid of peaceful protest, more Republicans saying dumbass stuff like, well, you shouldn't be walking around with a gun with 2 magazines anyway. So we went from Republicans showing up in 2020 all the way back to the 90s, open carry, concealed carry at protest, peacefully, I might add, peacefully. Heck, how many protests have you been to? Well, let me rephrase that. How many protests have you seen? And have been plenty where people roll up with long rifles and they protest peacefully. And they're usually of our political persuasion, conservatives, pro-gun people, libertarians. And now all of a sudden, people are freaking out over someone that started out on the sidewalk and ended up in the street temporarily because he had a concealed weapon, but the concealed weapon had nothing to do with it initially. Oh, I'm getting sidetracked on the weapon. I want to go back to this woman. Uh, if you haven't figured out yet, I think she should be fired, and she should be fired for verbally threatening people in the community. She is now a threat to patients because if this is how her mind works, I don't want to go to this place. I don't want to go there because we've experienced this before. We've not only experienced it during COVID, we experienced it during the highs and lows of MAGA and America First and the deplorables and any number of other issues. We've experienced this where you go to a restaurant and there's some left-wing lunatic saying, yeah, I'm going to spit in this guy's drink. I'm going to put some garbage in their soup. It's the same thing, but this is 10 times as worse because she's out there and she is, in essence, a representative of this organization, whether you like it or not. That's one thing about when you have your own business. You know, when you have your own business, it's a little different. But when I'm working for a different company or a different individual, you can't behave like this. And I would never do this anyway. I would never be going on in public and saying, well, here's how you can hurt some people real bad and not get caught. What are you, crazy? Especially in this climate. So after she gets fired, I think she should be investigated and charged and fined. Just throwing it out there. Want to get your thought. But this is the exception to the rule.
You know, you could get sick too. Won't eat there again. I'm just saying. Let's get them where they eat. Somebody's not going to be supporting these guys. Where's the hotel where they eat? Who makes that breakfast? Let's find them. You know, let's make their lives fucking miserable. I know we're already trying to keep them awake all night. That's good. Anything you can do to make the living conditions bad. Talk to the people who work at the places where they are.
No, that's wrong.
We'll get some ideas.
That's wrong.
Dead fish. Somewhere in the room hidden.
No, wrong.
Just stay toxic.
You know, at the very end, I thought she was going to say, just kidding. She didn't. She said, stay toxic. So almost everything, I think everything she discussed was breaking the law. Okay. And then she wrapped up with how to put salmonella, which is deadly, in someone's hotel room. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You don't do that. But the switching around, this is what scares me. And this is what is triggering a lot of MAGA woke or mokes. And the MAGA woke are people that, and you know who they are, okay? MAGA woke is people that claim to be awake. They claim to be like plugged into what's going on. You've met them. Some of them have infiltrated MAGA because Make America Great Again means all of it. No more giving money to anybody else. No more violating the First Amendment, the Second, the Third, the Fourth, the Fifth. None. Make America Great Again means none of that. No central digital currency. No digital ID, facial recognition. That's Make America Great Again. If you claim to be MAGA and America First, and you're bringing all that stuff in, like, well, I don't think you should carry a gun there, then you're not MAGA because you've left the Constitution. So you're something else. Quit calling yourself MAGA. It's like when people put on deplorable shirts and then you said, hey, let's go to the Trump rally. Well, I'm not, I want to fit in with the in crowd now. Everybody's trying to fit in. And unfortunately, when you try to fit in, you don't make it in if that's what you're trying to do. You get thrown away. Let me give you a great example for the people trying to fit in, okay? Do you think that the current administration will ever try to gain your favor or your votes again? Why? They don't need them. They don't need them. So why would they start balancing budgets and doing Doge stuff? Why would the Epstein files come out in 8 months or a year? They don't have to do it. We've already learned that. Let me give you an example. BOVINO, the regional border patrol director dude, I don't know what his rank was, but he's been sent back to California. And the rumor is from reliable sources, including the Atlantic and some other people that have been following him in particular, is that he's just going to retire. So he's going to now pay attention to this, because this is going to, again, this gets the Moke upset. And Moke is short for MAGA woke. See, if you're not woke, this isn't even going to faze you. But if you're one of those people saying in your brain, if you're saying, I think I should be able to kill anybody, well, then you're not on my MAGA team. That's a different MAGA team. See, when you take the Constitution and say, this is how it is for you, but for me, I get to read it and quote it, well, then you're not on my team. Okay? So it's that simple. So if you want to continue to pursue the truth and you want to call out stuff that is snowballing into the biggest dumpster fire this country may have ever seen, coming soon to a city near yous, depending, if you're from Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, you know what I'm talking about. Then you're not MAGA, and everything gets hijacked. It's funny. And the Tea Party was a grassroots organization. It got hijacked. All the Tea Parties are, not all of them, but a lot of them are full of rhinos. I know, because they used to hire me to speak at these things. And then I would notice the Tea Parties are getting more rhino, softer, more progressive. I would go to an event, a Tea Party event, to remain nameless and locationless. And the guy before me would be like, we really need to have common sense gun control. There's no reason you need an AR-15. I got to follow that and not mouth off about it. So I did mouth off about it. But this is what's happening. This is what's happening right now. We are people that claim to be Tea Party and MAGA and America First and the resistance. And I'm not picking on any particular resistance, because there's a lot of different resistance in there. And I do agree in peaceful, aggressive, lawful, effective resistance. I don't believe in crime, though, okay? And I don't believe in throwing the Constitution out. And what we've done now, the Constitution's out. And you can argue all you want, and you can listen to somebody on Fox or wherever you're tuning into, but the Constitution has been violated so many times over this past year and before. Biden did it too, because I know that's the email you get next. What about Biden? Don't you ever pick on Biden? Are you kidding me? I rip everyone a new one when they start turning on us. And it's the turning on us part that I have a problem with. I don't care who the hell turns on the party. I'm not the only reason I'm a member of this party is so I can vote in primaries in certain states. That's the only reason. Period. I mean, I haven't been a fan of a high-profile Republican in years because they've all let us down. And most recently, it was Ted Cruz. And before that, it was Lindsey Graham. And before that, it was Chris Christie. And I could keep going and going. At the end of the day, when push comes to shove, they all fall in line and do what they're told. You need to be more anti-gun, or you're not going to get any donations. You're not going to get any donors. You're not going to be on any committees. Okay, I'll start attacking Second Amendment people. You need to be more anti-speech. We need to take over TikTok. Too many people are criticizing the wrong people. Why don't we just buy it up and then change the algorithms? So they did. So we all play along with this ridiculousness while the MAGA woke cheer it on. That's right. We need to shut those lefties up. They're shutting you up. And you don't see it yet. Because you don't need an algorithm yet. You don't need a protest yet. This flips on a dime. How quickly does it flip? Here's how quickly it flips. I'm listening to Fox News, and I'm hearing people like Kash Patel and the president of the United States saying things like, well, why do you need to carry a gun anyway to a place? You know, why do you need to even, there's, you know, what? The Second Amendment is for exactly what's happening right now. The government of the United States is overreaching with its power. That's why there's a Second Amendment. That's why there's a Second Amendment. I don't care what Mark Levin says. I don't care what Hannity says. Because they're celebrities. And they're multi-millionaires. The rules don't apply to them. The rules that we need and the laws, we need the Constitution. You and I need it. Those of us that cannot buy our way out of jail need it. And going back to Bovino, he's going to retire on a full pension. And he's going to get a gig as a consultant, or maybe he'll be on Fox News or Newsmax or CNN as a contributor, like Trey Gowdy. It's that simple. You and I don't have those opportunities. See, we don't have, hey, Ken, you really overdid it with that illegal search. Let me make some calls. We don't have that. The beat cop, the brick agent, the street officers, all these people, all they have is the Constitution. Good, bad, or indifferent. And when you're willing to give up the Constitution so quickly, because that's the flavor of the day, turn on protesters. The flavor of the day is lump everybody together. That podcaster, he's just as bad as those people that throw bricks at police. No, I'm not. You're just too dumb to see that there is a division being created right now between the American people. Because the division that started under Trump and the real MAGA 10 years ago, when most people that comment weren't even, you were busy making memes of Trump and mocking Trump. And calling people like us idiots thinking he could ever get elected when we were saying Trump will get elected, because I don't think the political class knows how fed up we are. Now they figured it out. You know when they figured it out? Right around the time they stole the election for Biden. That's when they figured it out. They said, this guy's not doing that bad. Geez, we need to stop his momentum. So they did. And where were the people that fought for people like Tina Peters and other people trying to expose the stolen election? Boop. You see? So don't claim to be MAGA if you were all quiet about COVID, quiet about the election, quiet about gun rights, quiet about illegal searches, because it didn't fit in to the email you got from Cash or Dan or Christy or Pam. They all should be out. They've all violated the Constitution. And if it was the same lineup with Biden, we'd be ripping them a new one, which we did. We went from a dirty attorney general to a dirty attorney general. We went from a dirty FBI director to an incompetent FBI director. And the MAGA woke people, they're in lockstep with it. I'm not in lockstep with that. I was deplorable before it was cool. I was MAGA before most people in the media. And anybody that's followed me or listened to me over the last 40 years knows it. And you're missing a valuable opportunity. Instead of cheering on the violation of a constitution and celebrating dead people in general, whether it's in Gaza or in Minnesota, you need to look at what's happening behind the scenes with speech laws, gun laws, the recent decision I talked about last week from the Supreme Court, which basically said, it's really up to the police officer to decide if he's going to, follow the Fourth Amendment or not. Did you miss that? Do you have any idea what that means now? I feel better. Thanks for letting me vent. So getting back to that lady, I think she should be fired. And that's the type of person you want to make an example out of. And let me explain what I mean. Not violently. You want to take that person's video and you want to say to people, this is not acceptable. We're not going to sit here and listen to nurses threaten members of our population and then give ideas on how to kill them or make them sick. That's bullcrap. You should not even be in medicine. It's like when you hear very uncomfortable comments from law enforcement. Whether you are on that team or not. Look, I'm a big Charles Bronson fan. I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. I love John Wick. But I don't want cops doing that to me. Do you? Do you want that? There's a difference. That's why there's a Constitution. You see, John Wick doesn't use the Constitution. But I like John Wick. That's why I'm not a cop. Because I would be killing rapists on a regular basis. I would be killing people that harm the elderly on a regular basis. If some guy said, you'll never get me, I killed 3 people, you couldn't pin that up, bam, that would be it. That's why I can't be a cop. That's why there's a Constitution. We are being led around by our emotional nose, and it's embarrassing. And some of these people online, you're making fools of yourself. People that adhere to the Constitution, people that claim to be MAGA, spare me with that. Most people that got on the MAGA road or the MAGA train in media, you were late to the party, you saw Trump was popping off, and you all wanted to kiss his ass. That's how it worked. I've lost track of the podcasters and high-profile people that were anti-Trump. I mean, hardcore. People that said, if Trump gets elected, that's going to be the end. Ken, I don't know what's happened to you. We need to put someone like Jeb in there or Ted Cruz. So here we are. The Constitution's being abused blatantly. And then J.D. Vance, a guy who I helped get elected, former Marine, loved his book, Hillbilly Elegy. I thought it was a beautiful book, especially someone who lived briefly in Appalachia. It was just a beautiful book. And he had me, and I supported him. And then I turn on the TV, and he's saying, well, these agents should have total immunity. Are you out of your mind? This isn't China. Nobody gets total immunity. You know who gets total immunity? God and Jesus Christ. Because they don't need it because they don't do anything wrong. Total immunity. Talk about a rich kids club. Shame, JD. Shame. I thought you would be the one guy that would be swinging hard, protecting Second Amendment rights. Total immunity. Are you crazy? I'm afraid he might be. I don't know. All right. That went way too long. I'm going to get lunch and change my t-shirt. So please, Anybody who's been a fan of this show, and thank you, and listen to me fill in for, I've lost track of how many people I filled in for after filling in for Rush Limbaugh. And it's been an honor and a pleasure. And some of them are just people that I'd never even met before. And all of a sudden I'm meeting them and I'm guest hosting for them. It's great. This happened last year. And it's just so frustrating that when that new script comes out, everybody plays along. Everybody plays along. I said I wasn't going to go into the gun thing, and I did. Sorry. I was going to put that in another segment with statistics and all pictures and guns and whatever, but I got to tell you, they just keep screwing up. They just keep. And I've seen the polls. We're going to talk about the polls in a later segment, hopefully today. And I've looked at a group of polls and compared them. And I got to tell you, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. They are just hitting on the wrong things. You cannot say, screw the Fourth Amendment, screw the Second Amendment, screw the First Amendment. We've got illegals to worry about. We're in a tough time. You need to play along with this and suspend the Constitution. And that's why people are worried about the Insurrection Act. And you should be. Now you should be. Now you should be. Meaning, I didn't think Trump would do it 5 years ago, if you would have asked me 5 years ago. If you would have said to me 5 years ago, do you think under Trump, they're just going to kill people? If things get a little crazy, whether they're armed or not, they're just going to kill them? I would have said no. I would have said no. No, JD's not going to tolerate that. So we are heading in the wrong direction. We're heading in a very compliant direction for people that I know personally, and I was a part of Tea Parties and 9/12 groups and MAGA groups and America First organizations and conservatives of this and conservatives that and conservative gun owners and all. Where are you? Where are those people? You should be outraged. And I don't care what anybody says, Renee Good or Alex Preddy could be your spouse, your daughter, your neighbor, your fellow American citizen. I don't care what some idiot podcaster says. And that's why when you search around, you're going to find some very uncomfortable information coming out now. I think it's one of the reasons Tom Homan is in Minnesota. I do believe they overreached and they know they're in deep crap. And here's the thing. The people that go online and cock off and make comments like, F around and find out, I'll just show up with my gun. You're talking out your ass. Because people that have that mentality, they don't put it out there. They don't put it out there. We know what the Second Amendment is for. We know what the Second Amendment is for. It's not for squirrel hunting. And the fact that a administration that I've supported and still partially support is now anti-gun this week? What? Oh my God. I'm still trying to get over the fact that they're anti-speech now. Especially when it comes to, are we allowed to say, can we say the I word? Or is it going to get zapped off? Israel. Oh, I wasn't allowed to say. Okay, well, won't be the first time. So we've got a anti-speech administration, an anti-gun administration, and they're becoming more and more uncomfortable with the Constitution as we go. And again, what are they using to convince you to cheer them on? I'll shut up now. What are they using? They're using illegal foreign nationals and the havoc and violence that illegal foreign nationals have wreaked on this country. Yes, justifiably so. There are bad, bad people that shouldn't be here. They're using that to press your emotional buttons, so no matter what methodology they use, you cheer them on, and when people get killed, whoops, by accident, Americans by accident, a 16-year-old shot 8 times with an M4 who was unarmed by accident, we all keep cheering them on. Where do you think that power ends up? It ends up controlling the entire population. That's how history works. I don't care what you think Trump, if he's playing 9D chess or 4D chess or he's in 3D, I don't know. But history says this is how it goes. They get everybody jacked up against each other. They split us, so now we're half the power we could be. And then they use all the crap that you cheered on. Well, you said we can search you without the Fourth Amendment. Well, that was just, no. We saw what you posted. I don't think people get what's happening. I just don't think they get it. You know, I sat there during COVID and I watched people get arrested, fellow podcasters and people that I was in communication with get arrested in England for posting something about COVID or something. Cops show up, take all their stuff, put them on a list. We're there. We're there now. And the sad part is, I think it's all being orchestrated. Because if they really wanted everybody to cheer them on, they'd be hitting crack houses every day. Think about it. Think about it. Why would you do that? Think about why you would behave like you're behaving now, unless you knew it would F things up. When you could have went from crack house to drug dealers, go after the human traffickers all over the country. Like Connecticut, start in Connecticut, start in Maine. I know you're up in Maine and you're going to be pulling illegals off the street. But what if you went to Maine and then went to New Hampshire, which New Hampshire has one of the biggest human child sex trafficking rings? Like, woo, is it big? For a variety of reasons that most people aren't aware of. So if you went up there and said, look, our Border Patrol agents and our ICE agents just arrested 7 traffickers from Paraguay or whatever. Dude, the whole country would be cheering you on. But trying to take Americans that are protesting or non-violent people and treat them like they're part of the war on terror, we're not that stupid. I know some might be, but the majority of Americans were not that dumb. So I hope people are waking up. I can tell you right now, politics, it's almost ridiculous at this point. These idiots online, we need to win the midterm. You ain't going to win the midterm. You have no idea how people are feeling out here. You have no idea. None. I don't care what your pollsters say. Your pollsters that you pay $2 million a year to tell you what you want to hear. You talk about a wake-up call. I thought the wake-up call was going to be January 20th of last year. Yikes.